Well, it's been a long time since I've done a video on this bike, so I kind of left it hanging a bit. So this is sort of just to close it out. It's not finished, but since when do you ever finish anything? You just use and move on. So it's all back together. The battery is in the battery box, and this is just the plastic trunking, which I've put some wooden batten and then these little plastic sort of shelf brackets. It fits quite nicely. So you got one at the top and one at the back, and a little bracket which is just bolted up to the water bottle carrier, and that's very rigidly held. Not a problem with that at all. So at the front we've got the two wires going in. One is for the combined brake switch and one is for the throttle. I didn't want to cut it down as yet, so I just wound it all up. Doesn't really matter. And what I've done is I've taken the PWM and got one with the remote adjuster, just so I can surface mount it really eventually. And there's a little Goldilocks zone, so not enough is blue, good zone is green, and red zone will probably end up popping your diodes, because they're only 1 amp diodes I'm using in this. They're good enough as long as I don't overcook them. And the charging port for the battery, 67.2 volt charger. So I can take this out and fiddle with it on the fly. Eventually I may well even get round to actually mounting it and finish it properly, but it just sits in there and behaves itself, so I'm not that bothered. Brake switches on both brakes underneath. That's a terrible picture, good enough. So they work, one on each side. Just a standard throttle. I kind of figured what I should do really is to put one of these digital throttles on the little switch, just so you can see a voltage, because that's the problem with this. It takes up so much power, and you don't want to overdrain the lithium batteries. I haven't got the BMS to cut these out at the bottom end, basically because there's no good anyway going down to the voltage that they cut out. Plus I'm taking more than 40 amps, so, or 45 amps, which is what you can normally get these things to run at. So this is all the same as it was. You got the 13 on the front, the 80 on the mid with a freewheeling crank, and then on the back I've picked up this is a 6-speed 34, the Mega Range, something like that, but that's geared now in that lowest gear. That's geared for about 30 mile an hour or thereabouts. It's still way too high. Ultimately what I need to do is to put a smaller primary on this, probably a 6 or a 7, and then have a big reduction here, so I only get 200 or 300 RPM there rather than the sort of 500. That's what it should do, but whether I get so much torque that overstresses this chain, I don't know. Anyway, it's kind of good enough, so that's where it's staying as. On the other end, just got the little the point for connecting extra batteries, which I put on a pannier if I'm going to do it, for range and on-off switch, and then we got the little gap at the base here open, and that's got the 3-phase wires coming out, and then the 2 for the armature winding. So it all works, and quite happy with that really. Not really going to use it that much. It's I mean, it's clearly illegal. noisy as well. It's clearly illegal on a British road where I am, which isn't very helpful. The only things I was going to think about doing with this is what's a real pain in the backside with this is that when you take the throttle cable, you've got to run it through next to where the controller is up here to get to the controller's wiring. So to take this off, you would have to basically disconnect that and then unthread it through. Otherwise, you're not getting it through. And I kind of figured, well, a modular design would be quite useful. So I did pick up, these are called GX16, Chinese eBay, and that's a 6-pole. So I thought about maybe wiring that to the controller and mounting that on the side of the box, and then having a plug-in for the throttle itself. I mean, they're what, £1.50 Chinese eBay, something like that. And then the other thing I was thinking about doing was having a resistor through the throttle green wire set up so that it was road legal in terms of, at least in terms of top speed. So we'd be talking 15.5 miles an hour in the UK. It would basically limit your throttle output, and then bypass it with this. So you'd put a bypass on the throttle resistor between two of these pins, and then short out two of these pins. So basically, when you put it in, you'd have the full throttle, and then you take it out, and you've got limited throttle. So, well, you could use it on the road with this in, and get rid of it quick smart if that's what you wanted to do. Anyway, we'll see. All right, so that's about it. So I've had various comments on a few of the videos so far, asking for diagrams and goodness knows what. Well, I'm not going to do that. It is what it is. There's plenty of videos out there to build one of these things if that's what you want to do. And there's basic diagrams for any three-phase motor and any three-phase rectifier, so I'm sure you can work it out. Well, that is it for this project. There are many other toys to be playing with, just cluttering up my room. This is what we've been playing with at the moment, which is why I haven't been on the videos, because the daughter wanted hoverboards, so both of those were spares of repair. Both of those have been fixed, and so we've been playing with those. So no time for bikes. Bye bye.